Anything happening?
Yeah, I think we're live.
Oh, good evening.
I think we're live. Good evening and welcome to Doubles and Trebles. It is your Saturday racing preview. It's Thursday night. It's 8:30. I'm joined by Mr. Adam Smith and Mr. Stephen Derbyshire. It's very good to be back with you. I'm hoping that we don't have any technical issues tonight. We've had late starts, we've had sound problems, we've had all sorts going on. Really, we've got SD's faces on the camera. I'm sure it'll be on and off as the 30 minutes progress. Very good to have Lucas Coppin in the chat. Evening, lads. Evening, Lucas. If you are in the chat, do drop us a few lines. Always good to hear who's in and your thoughts on the weekend racing. Andrew Humphrey's also in the chat. Good evening, Hump. Good to have you on board. But yeah, we're aiming to get back down to our 30-minute slot. We've been overrunning in recent weeks, wandering around aimlessly. So yeah, we're going to try and press on tonight. If the network quality is bad, as one of my messages is suggesting, I just hope it won't impact the audio and the quality of the. Certainly won't impact the quality of the tips. But without any further ado, I'm gonna get Adam and SD involved. Brendan also in the chat. I think we may even have Wayne Harrison in the chat. Wayne, haven't seen you in a while. Good to have you in. Anyway, let's crack on. We're going to go straight in with the Sprint Cup, the main event, which we want to give a bit of time for. And I think first, I should point out that on last week's show, SD was very keen to get with Starman. I think, was it 5-2 or 11-4-ish? Said it won't go off anywhere near that price. And sure enough, we are looking at an even money favourite Starman as it stands on Thursday night. 11 runners. SD, do you want to take us through the main event first, please?
So 3-1. We're on at 3-1.
There you go.
Now, look, he's a better 3-1. He's certainly, I think he'll go off odds on. I think every man and his dog love this thing. It is not, this horse is not unbeatable. The trainer, Ed Walker, today has been quite arrogant in the post. He said something along the lines of, we've got to get the job done. And he's the equine Usain Bolt. In the nicest possible way, he's talking out of his backside. It's more than a one-horse race. Look, he's only ever won one Group 1 Ed Walker. I'd much rather it was trained by Charlie Appleby or Tim Easterby or Aidan even. This is a very... Well, Tim Easterby is a multiple Group 1 winning trainer. I'll come on to him in a minute because I think you know where I might be going with this. Look, he's won a July Cup at Newmarket, and all of a sudden everybody thinks that he's the most unbeatable sprinter in the world. There's some very good horses been beaten in this great race in the past. First run in, I think, 1966, won by Sir Peter O'Sullivan's Be Friendly. Deja won it in 1990. To say Starman is the best horse in the world, the best sprinter ever, it's just ridiculous. There's a few things against him. His running style invites traffic issues. There's his trainer, and there's the fact, of course, he was beaten last time. I can possibly put him on up as a bet, but we're in a very good anti-post position. We're all on at 3-1, lads, aren't we? Somebody's just texted me saying, "Are you frozen?" So there may be some network issues.
Your face is, but your voice is not.
Don't worry, we
can
hear
That's
you.
ideal, really.
Right. Okay. So I will continue. There's one horse who I think has the ability to beat him, and that's Art Power. Paddy are 4 places. Sky and Paddy are 4 places. Sky are 8-1. He needs to be ridden better, but if he was ridden correctly at Newmarket, I don't think there'd have been that much in it. And he's clearly the bet at this stage. He has this horse, being no doubt, has the raw ability to win a Group 1, and that may well take the smirk off Ed Walker's face. I accept Starman's the most likely winner, but I have never heard as much drivel from the trainer in my life. Yeah.
A fantastic analysis there. Starman put up at 3-1 and then dressed down suitably. Adam, what have you got to say on that? I mean, can you oppose Starman? I know you've got your anti-post position, but the race as it stands, an even money favourite.
Yeah, well, I mean, SD did put up Starman last week 3-1. I backed it at 5-2. Fair enough. It's even money. I think it could go off shorter. SD's backed Art Power at Newmarket in July and then Goodwood at the end of July. He said both times it needs to be ridden properly. It wasn't on either
I didn't
occasion.
back him at Goodwood.
It's still got the same jockey on, and it will be ridden at Ascot and Newmarket. You backed it, and it was ridden poorly in both, and he's still got the same jockey on. So I mean, just keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's the definition of insanity.
I didn't back him at Ascot.
Starman. I thought Starman put in one of the performances of the season when winning the July Cup. He got far from a clear run. In the business end of the race, but scooted clear when it opened up. He beat all the right horses at the finish. He then went to France where softer ground and a slightly further trip stopped him from winning, but he ran with decent enough credit in a Group 1 over there, finished third, less than 2 lengths. I think he's just clear of everything in this race. The market tells you that. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. As always, I went looking for an each way angle and pretty much couldn't find one, to be honest with you. I think most of them have got pretty big question marks over them, whether that be ground, just general ability. There's a couple of 3-year-olds in there that were good last year, but not so good this year. I just can't really find anything to take Starman on. So it's going to be one of them rare occasions where I'm going to say I'm happy with my anti-post position, and I'll just sit back and enjoy the ride on that. Creative Force is solid, but the market already tells you that he's second favourite in there at 5-1. Some people might be interested in possibly backing Creative Force each way. But yeah, I just think Starman is absolutely rock solid. And I think there's been a good point made by Hump in the chat. Who would you rather be with this weekend, Baid or Starman? They're similar prices. I think Baid's a little bit shorter, actually. I've not seen the final field as yet. I'd much rather be with Starman. Proven form in the book. Beat all the right horses in the July Cup. The ground is very much in his favour this weekend, and I think he'll win again.
So then, just to put you on the spot, just to wrap this one up then, I mean, if you're a viewer now, you've not got an anti-post position, even money Starman, is it still a bet for you?
Yeah, because I think he'll win. I think he'll win. I did have Summergan down as, if I was forced into an each way poke. He's 33-1. He ran last weekend. He dances many dancers at different levels throughout the season, and he often, will land on a podium position regularly enough to pay his training fees. Not every time. His form this year reads 1, 4, 10, 17, 12 and 1. So he's slightly hit and miss depending on the grade. But he likes fast ground. He did well last week. A replica of that for Summergan. Could see him mop up third. But I just think that Starman's got so much of the market wound up, i.e. I think he will win. Then, half of your each way bet is borderline redundant, if you ask me.
Yeah, nicely summarised. We have got 7 other races that we're going to attempt to get through in the next 20 minutes, so I'm going to move it on. But I think Starman seems to be where the fellas are leaning, with slightly different views on the current price. But anyway, if you were watching last week, you're already on in your nice position. You can just sit back and chill. Thanks for your messages in the chat. Brendan Smith says, if Starman gets beaten, it'll be tears for souvenirs. Foo. Andy Humphrey says, you've already mentioned Hump's comments. We've got Wayne in the chat. Joe Walls in the chat. Thanks for joining us, Joe. Wayne says he'd be inclined to just skip this weekend's racing. Obviously not too keen. He says, just stick everything you've got onto Lonsdale to win the Derby and Inspiral to win the 1,000 guineas and swerve the weekend racing. Always got an opinion, Wayne. Don't mind that. At least you come in with an opinion. Right, we're going to dive in. Going chronologically now through our selected races. 1:15 at Haydock. This is the Betfair Exchange Ascendant Stakes. And I have in front of me a 4-runner card with Haffit 11-8, Power Beauty 6-4, Triple Time 4-1, and Jukebox 11-1. Smido, do you want to take this one first? 4-runner race?
Yeah, I'm in. I think you might have just read out the wrong race here, Pimer.
I'm on the 1:15 at Haydock in front of me here.
It's not on the telly, but Palmer's will win the race. There we go. Skip.
There you go.
Yeah.
Godolphin's has a lot to find, but Palmer's has a form in the book. It'll win the race. Bang.
Right.
There you go. You want the 145 then. You've got a bonus race there, everybody there.
Yeah.
With Lord Glitters in at 6-4
on ITV.
Yeah, Lord Glitters 6-4-5 with My Oberon in at 11-4. Maid Danny is 4-1. Bell Rock 8-1. And Artistic Rifles 12-1 outside of the field. Go on then, Smido, you take this one.
Right, I've tried to be against Lord Glitters, but I just couldn't be, and I've ended up back on him. It's a 5-runner field. He is 8 years old now, and he is 6-4, but he did produce a career second best Racing Post rating last time. He was trying to give Real World £7. And Real World obviously took full advantage of that and won quite easily. But he's better off at the weights this time with rivals, including My Oberon, including Bell Rock. This looks an easier assignment to me, even though it is a Group 3, as his last race was. But there's no Real World in here. He'll be at the back, finishing late as normal. Elsewhere I was looking at the likes of Bell Rock. I know SD likes him as well. He was only a length behind Lord Glitters at York last time. But don't take that too literally, because Bell Rock carried £7 less than Lord Glitters last time, but they carry the same weights in this race. I just think Lord Glitters is pretty solid, to be honest. Maydani is more of a handicapper. My Oberon is certainly in and out, more out than in, more often than not. I think Bell Rock's a good horse, and I think he's yet to hit his ceiling. But he is going to have to improve £7 and a length. So we're talking possibly £10 if we're operating on £3 a length. So I just think Lord Glitters is really solid. My selections do get more original and exciting after this, but I will be putting Lord Glitters in a double with Starman.
Okay, there's a double then, short price double for Smido. Any objections to that, SD, on Lord Glitters?
Look, the weights and measures brigade, we very often refer to racing ratings, official ratings on this, and Lord Glitters should win at the weights. But, I'm convinced he needs at least 9 furlongs. And I don't think this race is going to suit him. I mean, look, I know all these boring form students who sit at home doing algorithms will be all over this thing. But at 6-4, you've got to be a layer. I nibbled on this race anti-post at the start of the week about Mr. Bethel's horse and about Bell Rock. I think the bet now is Lord Oberon. I can see Lord Oberon winning this. He shouldn't win at the weights, but I think he will. I think the fast ground will be fine, and Lord Glitters will be finishing a little bit too late. One thing, if you are backing Lord Glitters, and I would suggest you didn't, I would back him in running rather than before the race, because at some point in the straight he'll appear too far behind, and I think he will be too far behind, and he'll be a fast finishing second. So there you go.
Lord Glitters he's got 9 career wins. 4 of them have been over a mile, 3 of them over 9 furlongs, and 2 of them over 10 furlongs. I'll rest my case there.
Well, Brendan Smith says, Maydani front runner in the chat, ? So any insight there?
Well, the mother was a good horse, wasn't she?
Might front run, but I don't think he'll be winning. More of a handicapper for me, and has had success at handicapping.
Yeah. Okay, that'll do us on that one then. Do get your selections in the chat and any questions you might have for the 2 boys. 2:20 at Haydock, going to go to next. Is that correct, Smido? Just keep me in line with these races.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay. I think I've got 9 runners in front of me here. 8 runners. So there's some each way value to be had, surely, in this handicap. Valley Forge 5-2. Vino Victrix 9-2. Priano is 6-1. Oceanline 7-1. And then Rosebud 9-1, and it's 12's bar. SD, do you want to take this one first?
Yes, I'll take it, because look, Valley Forge is solid enough. There's a couple of Johnson horses who could bounce back, but I thought the bet was Priano. I thought this thing was very unlucky last time at Sandown. Got into more traffic trouble than me coming back from Sandown Park on a Friday. It's awful trying to get back from there on a Friday. I think there's some potential there. I think he'll improve, and I think he can win this. And he's a fair enough bet. That race, that Melrose at York last time, which the Jolly won, was a perfectly good race. I couldn't really put you off him, but I thought Priano was probably the value in the race.
6-1. Is that an each way play for yourself there?
No, grow a pair and back it to win.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. Smido, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it leads me quite nicely in. Priano was unlucky last time, but there's a horse that he managed to finish behind that day by 2 lengths, who's a slightly bigger price, and the name of that horse is Oceanline. He's had a busy first part of the season. He had 6 runs to his name by July the 3rd. He's had a well-deserved 50-day rest since then. Returned at Sandown a couple of weeks ago. Battled really quite nicely. The further he went, the better he was. He's up £3 for that, which I think is fair enough. And I think 7-1. I think 7-1 each way is decent. William Buick's had how many winners? His last 6 rides have all won, including 4 today at Haydock. So he's on fire. He's riding for Alan King, which is something he wouldn't do too often, but he did last time. He's rode this horse once a couple of weeks ago, won on it. and I think he could maybe win on it again. It does look reasonably competitive despite the 8 runners. Valley Forge was pretty, won a pretty competitive Melrose last time. There was 22 runners there, and there was a lot of pace on early. He's up £7 for that. I'm not sure that he's going to get the same setup of race here, i.e. a fast pace. He was up with the pace for much of the race, but I don't know if they're going to quite get that here. I think it's going to be a pretty different makeup. 22 runners at York is pretty different to 8 runners at Haydock. So I'll be happy to take him on with Oceanline each way.
There you go then. Priano and Oceanline, both at decent value prices there in the 220 at Haydock. Going to move it on, and we'll go over to Kempton for the September Stakes of Group 3. 5 runners in the field as we speak. Hukum is just a shade of odds on at 5 to 6. Hamish in at 3 to 1. Outbox 8 to 1. Fox Tal is 10 to 1. And Prince of Arran, outsider of the field, at 12 to 1. Smido, do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, it's a no bet, Pineman, from me. Previously used by Enable as an ARC trial twice, but we're not talking about ARC horses this year, unfortunately. I think Hukum's been consistent in and around this level this year. Carries a £3 penalty for winning at this level last time out. It probably isn't enough to stop him. It's slightly odds on. I wouldn't be in a rush to back him, but I think, he probably wins against there's some half decent yardsticks in there, but is this the final destination or the pinnacle of their season? Probably not for all horses. I mean, you've got the likes of Prince of Arran in there who uses this as a bloody Melbourne Cup trial. Certainly did last year. So, I think Hamish is a slightly unreliable profile, doesn't run that often, hasn't ran this year at all. He's not ran for 442 days and he's second favourite. So Hukum's solid, but unlike the likes of Starman and Lord Glitters earlier that I was happy to back who are favs, I wouldn't be particularly happy to back Hukum. So it's a no bet race for me.
Okay, you wouldn't be particularly happy to back Hukum, but Lucas Coppin's just been in the chat. He says Hukum and Starman double is his bet of the weekend. So a bit more confidence there. SD, where do you stand on this one?
I tried to take Hukum on, and I'll tell you why, because I think it needs a little bit further, but it's very difficult to, because you could probably say that about Hamish as well. Outbox wouldn't be good enough, and as Adam says, Prince of Arran uses this as a trot round for the Melbourne Cup when he goes to see Crocodile Dundee. Look, I'm not going to have a bet in the race. I thought Foxtel was moderately interesting, but unfortunately, He's got his own ideas about the game, so I'll leave it well alone as well.
Wayne in the chat says that O'Shea Murphy's going through his rides on Sporting Life and fancies a few at prices. We'll check that out, Wayne. Thanks for that comment. Do keep your comments coming in. I'm going to move it on again, and we'll go back over to Haydock for the 255. Right, how many have we got here? We've got 12 runners, and this is the Old Borough Cup, a handicap. Global Storm in there, 4 to 1 at the top of the betting. Noble Masquerade is 5 to 1. Rajinsky 7 to 1. Rhythmic Intent 8 to 1. Autumn War 10s, along with Indianapolis, and it's 12 to 1 bar. Smido, do you want to take this one first, please? Must be some each way value here, is there?
Yeah, probably. It's the same as the previous race at Haydock, pretty much, but for older horses. That 3-year-olds can run in this, but there aren't any amongst the 12 field at the moment. It's a bit of a boring selection, but I just think Global Storm ran, in probably the most competitive handicap in the whole calendar last time, which is the Ebor. That I'm happy to put lines through York form. This is a much easier assignment, I thought. He's got to lug a lot of weight around today in this race. Sorry, he's top weight, but I think he's by far the most solid horse. He would certainly, wouldn't usually say things like this, but with the extra places, at 4 to, I think you can do standard each way betting, and if he's 4 to 1, and if he gets a place, you're getting your money back anyway. But I do think he is the most likely winner, so that would be my selection. I did look elsewhere. I mean, Mark Johnston's got a decent record in races like these, particularly at Haydock, but that you can all pick holes in them. I just think Global Storm is solid as you like.
Okay, the Fav Global Storm 4 to 1 chance, solid as you like for Smido. SD, where are you looking in this one?
Well, I thought he was disappointed. I backed him in the Eagle, and I was thoroughly disappointed. I thought he ran, flat as a pancake, flat as when my missus runs over a cam, which has happened in the past, and the tyre goes down. Look, I thought this was a race to back in. I'll tell you why. Global Storm was flat last time. Noble Masquerade takes a hold. I'm not sure he'll get the trip. I thought Autumn War seconditis. Indianapolis never wins. Radzinski needs it further. Rhythmic Intent almost certainly needs softer ground. Hockfield doesn't like the track. Nicholas T's out of form. Sextant ran today. All Right Sunshine wouldn't appear good enough either. I thought the Trader was the bet here. And I think Sly Better are going 5 places. I thought that was a jolly good bet. Johnston's mucked it up, run it on too softer ground too many times, but as a consequence, his handicap marks come down, and I think he's a couple of pounds lower now than when he was than when he won the Button Hook handicap in May at Hamilton Park, which is usually a pretty good race and similar to this. As Mr. Smith quite rightly says, Johnston loves these sorts of races. Yeah, I can see the Trader running well, and the jockey bookings a plus with that Zini.
Yeah, big price then. The Trader in at around 12 to 1 mark. There'll be some decent each way value to be had on the day as well with the extra places and stuff. So a nice selection there from SD. Back over to Ascot we go then. We've got 3 more races and we do have one around the world selection to get through, I believe, from Mr. Derbyshire. But first, 3.10 at Ascot. We're going to 2 next. Smido, I'm going to lead you in with this one. Waran is a 3 to 1 fav. Would you be with or against?
Oh, I'm against. I think Waran and Alfadel were questionable stayers on paper, to be honest. This is over a mile and a half. And, they're at the top of the market, and I thought they were worth taking on. Third in the market is going to be my selection, Chalk Stream. Certainly does stay the trip, having won over Corston distance. So having won over that same distance on his last 2 outings. He is another £8 up the handicap. So he's going to need a career best. But, his most recent win was over Barnow. I think FD put up Barnow last week to win at Beverley. Anyway, Barnow was 2.5 lengths behind Chalk Stream in Chalk Stream's last race. And Barnow went and won Wasdin at Beverley last week. So I just thought the 7 to 1 each way about Chalk Stream looks pretty decent. And yeah, he will certainly be part of my each way treble that we'll get to later.
Chalk Stream for Smido at 7 to 1-ish. SD, where are you going?
Chalk Stream's a head case, but may win, I suppose. Look, I think Waran will win. He should have won at York last time. I think if he stays, he wins. Ryan's on. Fairly easy. 3 to 1's fair enough. Pile in, lads.
Oh, yeah. Like it. Short, snappy, to the point. Confident as well on Waran. And Chalk Stream, the each way angle for Smido. Couple more races to get through. The 3.15 at Kempton is where we go next for the London Mile Series final handicap with Thunderclap, a 5 to 1 chance. There's got to be some value here. 14 runners, Hold Fast 13 to 2, Stormcatcher 15 to 2, Tahiti and Prince 8 to 1, and it's 10's bar. Smido, lead us off.
No, not for me. Leave it to SD.
No bet. SD.
It's a great race. It's a great race. Thunderclap. Anyone remember Thunderclap Newman? Put that up in the chat. Look, Thunderclap won perfectly well last time. He's probably well weighted on that. He's won his last 2 at Kempton. They had David Egan up and the poster saying Safi Osborne. So I think Safi's on, which I'd take as a plus, taking 5 off. The draw's fine in 4, and I don't think you can lead Thunderclap out of your calculation. I think you can still get 11 or 2 as well. So you back Thunderclap, but then you go in again and you go in with this 14 to 1 shot called Fantasy Believer. I think you can still get 14s. The case is fairly simple. The horse is 3 from 4 round Kempton. It's only ever won 3 times in its life. It's lost 14 times on turf. It's back at Kempton for the first time since April. And as a result, the handicap marks come down. Draw 5 is perfect. Big Jim Crowley's on. And 14 to 1, pile into the payout queue.
Sure, what's not to like about that? A Fantasy Believer, a compelling case at 14 to 1. And also a case made for Thunderclap at 11 to 2. Sorry, 11 to 2.
Anyone know who Thunderclap Newman is yet?
I've not had anything of note in the chat. I'll keep an eye on that. Brendan Smith says Champagne Piaf brought along Sayedili by Gary Moore. Somebody offer me something on that, please. Adam, you're on mute.
Yeah, he steadily. Yeah, he won last time in one of them. Was it a racing league or a Sunday fixture or Sunday racing? One of them new fixtures, something like that. Wouldn't be for me. I thought he was more bred to be a bloody Triumph hurdle horse, but he's probably too high in the flat echelons to be going that way now. To be honest.
And some Wayne Harrison wins in the chat as well. Well in, Wayne. Congrats on those wins. Yeah. One final race to go. We're bang on time, actually. It's gone surprisingly well. Let's have your nap to the weekend in the chat if anyone is in there and wants to give us one. We're finishing off with this big handicap at Ascot. 11 runners as we speak. Via Serendipity is 5s. Cliffs of Capri is 7s. Mystery Smiles 15-2. Bashir is 8s, along with Documenting and Top Secret, and it's 11's bar. Who wants to lead on this, Smido? You didn't have an opinion on the last one.
Yeah, me.
You got one on this one.
Yeah. Cliffs of Capri will perform the third and final leg to my each way treble. There's only 11 runners in this race, which is less than normal. I mean, throughout the season at Ascot, there are 7 furlong handicaps like this that kind of, lead into one another. There's the International Stakes, I think it's called, on King George Day. Then earlier in the season in May, there's another race which we used to sponsor. I forgot what it's called. SD all know. But yeah, over 7 furlongs. So you get similar horses running in the race. Cliffs of Capri looks really solid. He's been running well in big field handicaps this year. The Bunbury Cup, the International Stakes, which was over course and distance, finished really well on that occasion up the Standside Rail. He's been dropped £1 for a recent no-show at York, but you know what I say about York. Put a line through that and carry on. He loves Ascot. Dougie Costello gets on with him. I think 7-1 is a really, really solid bet. And of the 3 each way bets I've put up, I'll be more confident on Cliffs of Capri. You can get each way 4 places, and I will be on. Oops, hello.
Hello, I can hear you.
Oh, I'm glad you're still there.
Are you there, the pieman?
Pieman appears not. So you carry on then, SD. 3, 4.
No, I am here. What I'd done is I'd muted myself. I was mesmerised by Smido's analysis there. Cliffs of Capri making up the each way multiple for Smido, which we will run through in a minute before we finish the doubles.
Just quickly. Do you think the horse wins often enough, Adam? Because he last won in this country in 2018. That's a concern with Cliffs of Capri.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be concerns over a lot of these, 7-year-olds well exposed, but I just think with only the 11 runners, this is not as good as in previous years, the renewal of this race. And I just think he's been knocking on the door this year. I mean, that 4th in the International Stakes behind the likes of Danyar, I think, who you put up. Dance Fever's gone on and won again since. Danyar's a very good horse. He finished in front of some good horses that day. I mean, the likes of Motakayo, Matthew Flinders, Raising Sand, he don't come up at Lord Rapscallion, Gimme 5. They're all decent yardsticks. He don't come up against any of them today. So this is barely a Class 2 race for me. And I think he'll go well at 7-1.
Okay. I think Documenting will win. And I'll tell you why. He's the exact same rating as he was last year when he won. He ran a cracking race last time at Donny, and I think they've aimed him at this. Now, last year was a lot stronger race. He clocked an RPR of 111. He's only off 101. I mean, yes, he might be 8 years old, but all the ability remains. And Kevin Frost's horses, having been in the cold for much of the year, are now warming up a bit. So I do think that this thing's a very solid bet, and some of us are on anti-post at 16s with our Irish friends.
Well, all right for some. Nicely summarised there. We are at 9 o'clock. There's just one thing I want to do before we go around the world with SD very quickly. We'll be going in rapid fashion this week. But Jonesy's been in the chat and says anything for Friday, lads. Do we want to give it on air? Anything for tomorrow's action?
I'll reply in the chat. There's 3. Manny Gordo in the 220. Good Luck Fox 255 and Dreamweaver in the last. They were my 3 I was looking at.
There you go. We will just confirm that I'm in the chat, but hopefully you caught them. SD, the floor is yours. I believe we're going to Wolverhampton.
We're going to. Well, I'm literally going to Wolverhampton. I'm going from Haydock to Wolverhampton. I agree with Adam as well. Manny Gordo will win tomorrow. I backed him.
Good.
Absolute stonking bet. But Wolverhampton, and we're going at, what time are we bloody going at? Apologies. It is the 8 o'clock. the billionaire boy at the Grand Theatre Handicap Class 6. Hufflepuff absolutely loves Wolverhampton. Loves it nearly as much as me. He's won 3 times there. He's very well weighted. He'd been in the wilderness more than Salman Rushdie, and then he comes back. He's rated 58. It's absolutely fantastic. He's a stonking bet. He's 4-1. So put all your winnings from the things I've told you earlier onto Hufflepuff and gamble irresponsibly.
Yes.
Hufflepuff, 8 p.m. Wolverhampton is the around the world with SD Nap. And I think it's only fair that I point out because he hasn't. Last week, he put up 3 in between 6 and 6:30 p.m. running on the Saturday evening, and they all won. So, I mean, if you're not taking your notes at this point of the show, then you're only harming yourself, really. But Hufflepuff at 8 p.m. at Wolverhampton for SD is the one around the world selection this week. It's been a very fun show, fast-paced. I've enjoyed all the comments in the chat. I feel like I've got through everybody's naps. There wasn't too many came in, but obviously, as always, we wish you the very best with this weekend's racing. If you're watching retrospectively, do let us know in the comments what you're backing and what you fancy, and any questions you've got for the lads can put to them next week. We will almost certainly be back same time next week. Please give us a like if you've watched live. Always helps more people to see it. Do press subscribe if you haven't. Lucas says, cheers, lads. Good insight. Have a good weekend. Same to you. Same to all of you. And we'll see you again. Go on. Interrupt my outro.
I've got a final comment. I do apologise. Final comment. There's a regular listener, viewer. He doesn't often comment in the box, but he's doing a big thing for charity. So I'm going to put the link below if someone wants to check that out for one of our avid fans. That would be good of you. Cheers.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have a look at that and fire something in. Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much, guys, and have a great weekend. Good luck with all your picks.
Put all the charity winnings on Hufflepuff.
Cheers, all.
Bye-bye. Are we off?
Probably not.
Oh, correct.